And now, from approximately coast to coast, Bob and Ray take great pleasure in presenting the Bob and Ray Radio Show.
Excuse me, Bob and Ray.
Yeah, wait just a minute.
But, did you notice my foot slipped a little there?
I know. Was that your foot or your hand?
No, it was my foot. Now,
do that a note again, will you?
What I'm going to do is cut up some old radial tires.
Yeah.
And I'm going to stick them on the pedals here so my foot won't slip.
I noticed that, or else you could use your stocking feet.
Uh-huh. Oh, no, they slip.
They
slip. No, you got to have heavy traction on the pedals of these organs.
A lot of people.
I'm sorry for that. Did I ruin your program?
No, there's no way you could do that.
I know you fellas
Paul.
are so particular. A little thing like that can ruin your show.
Like a little grain of sand in the machinery. But
that's right.
We did want to introduce Paul Talvin, who's back with us, as we have mentioned before. And, of course, our Mary Magoon will be along in the series to come. And Wally Ballou of our staff is on assignment tonight.
Right now, he's just checked in.
I guess you make mistakes too, huh?
He's just checked in from Lubec, Maine.
That's better, right?
So, for an on-the-spot news report, we now go live and direct to Wally Ballou in Lubec.
Lee Ballou here on the shores of the Blue Atlantic in Lubec, Maine. I'm on hand for the opening of the nation's newest airline, which began service just this morning, and I have the name of the company here in my notes somewhere.
The name of it is the Lubec and South Quoddy Airline, Mr. Ballou.
According to my notes, it's called the Lubec and South Quoddy Airline. And the voice you heard while I was obtaining that information belongs to the president of the line, Mr. Wallace Pumphrey. Mr. Pumphrey, I understand this new air service operates chiefly in the resort area right around Lubec.
That's right, Mr. Ballou. Specifically, we've licensed, or I should say we're licensed, for passenger runs between Lubec and South Quoddy Island. Do I talk right into this microphone?
Not right here. I'll hold it toward you when you're supposed to talk.
All right. Now, that's why our board of directors decided to name it the Lubec and South Quoddy Airline.
Well, it seems like a wise corporate decision. Just where is the South Quoddy Island from here, sir?
Well, you can see it right across the open stretch of water there. Our flights land between the blue cottage down on the far end and the white one off to your right there.
Right. Well, that's just a sandbar, barely 100 yards offshore there.
Well, actually, it's not quite that far. The distance from our main terminal here in Lubec over to the landing strip on South Quoddy Island is just under 225 feet.
You mean you operate an airline that covers a distance of only 225 feet?
Yeah, but it's all open water between here and the island. I mean, a person can't walk there, and boat service is slow.
So you're hoping that commuters will take one of your planes even that short distance, right?
Yes, basically, yes. But you've made one incorrect assumption. You see, we don't use planes. We send people back and forth on hang gliders.
Well, I noticed several older people trying to keep a grip on hang gliders as they sailed off the point down there, but I didn't know they were passengers on the Lubec and South Quoddy.
Yes, you see, our ground crew pushes each ticket holder off that bluff, and if the traveler has any hang gliding skill at all, he comes down on the landing strip at South Quoddy.
I see. Apparently, most of your passengers don't have any hang gliding experience. That elderly woman just dropped like a rock.
Yeah, she did. But it's only about a 20-foot fall into soft sand. See, she's getting up now, brushing herself off.
Yeah,
she's going to be all right. Don't worry about it.
No, of course, the suitcase flew open and the contents are scattered over a wide area down there.
Well, actually, a person who's hang gliding shouldn't try to carry a suitcase, especially a beginner like that.
That brings up an interesting point, Mr. Pumphrey. How do you talk older people into flying to the island by hang glider when they don't know how to do it?
I hope you aren't implying that we coerced them in some way.
No, not at all. But it seems odd that a first-time hang glider would try to take off carrying a suitcase. That woman even appeared to be holding a martini glass between two fingers of her other hand.
Well, that's possible. We offer a complimentary cocktail on all our flights to the island.
Well, it looks very dangerous. I still don't understand how you talk people into trying it.
Beats me. I guess maybe the whole thing just takes them by surprise. You see, they buy tickets over in the terminal building. And then one of our flight attendants leads them out onto the bluff and tells them to hold the bar of a hang glider.
Uh-huh.
And then the ground crew pushes them off.
And that's the first time they realize that they're not going by plane?
That's right. We don't actually lie to them, but they may just assume they're going by plane since we call ourselves an airline.
Right. The average person might expect an airline to have planes.
Well, I guess it could affect our repeat business after people wise up to what we're doing here, but so far we're handling more passenger traffic than we expected.
Good. Goes another one now. Well-dressed businessman with the remains of his briefcase. So your service does indeed seem to be prospering, Mr. Pumphrey. And now from Lubeck, Maine, this is Wally Ballou sending it back to Bob and Ray in our main studio.
And now it's time for another story of drama and tense emotion. A tale well designed to keep you in anxiety. And here with us again to set the stage for our latest thriller is the noted lecturer and world traveler, Commander Neville Putney. Commander, I presume that you've reached into your amazing file and brought forth another tale well designed to keep us all in anxiety.
Yes, indeed I have, young man, and like all the true stories I bring forth from my amazing file, this one involves a test of the human character. One might almost say a test designed by fate to discover the breaking point of those subjected to anxiety. This week's story centers around two grizzled gold prospectors who are making their way across the desert in the American West. One has struck it rich, while the other is returning to civilization penniless and defeated. As they pause in their trek across the burning sand, it's the wealthy prospector who turns and speaks.
Dad drat it all anyhow. I swore there was a water hole right on this spot.
Well, it ain't there no more. Oh, there's nothing but miles and miles of empty space twixt us and the assay office.
Lucky you still got a canteen full of water. Otherwise, I don't know as I could make it, carrying all these bags of gold.
I ain't never been one to pry into another man's affairs, Odie, but how do you figure my water's gonna help you get to the assay office with that gold?
I reckon I know what you're getting at, Bart. You want to trade your water for my gold. Well, here, take it. I'm going mad with thirst.
You're a fool to do this, Odie. You give me $1 million worth of gold for a pint of water. Of course, these bags are a good deal heavier than I figured. Let's trade back. I can make you a rich man.
You're a fool to do this, Bart. You had a fortune in your hands, and you gave it away. But then I don't reckon I'm any better off than I was. Thirsty, with the bags to tote besides.
You're a fool to have done it, Odie. Come to think of it, only one of us can leave here alive, and only one of us can have all that gold. And it can't never be the same man that does both.
Wow! That had to be the most spine-tingling story you've ever told us, Commander. But you can't just leave us in anxiety this way. How did Bart and Oldie ever make a decision on which one should live and which one should be rich?
Well, as it happened, they never had to make that terrible choice. They didn't know it at the time, but they were trudging through Zion National Park. So, of course, they soon found one of the drinking fountains that had been placed all about for the use of tourists.
Drinking fountains? That's ridiculous. There weren't any drinking fountains in the desert in the Old West.
I never mentioned when this amazing story took place, young man. Now that you've brought it up, the event transpired in either July or August of 1972.
Hey, Commander, you just picked that unbelievable ending out of the air so you could get away with telling us another one of your dumb, pointless stories.
Insolent young bounder, every one of these true accounts has been brought forth from my amazing files.
The only amazing thing about your file is that every story in it lays an egg.
That's quite enough of your cheeky backtalk. Now read the closing announcement and be quick about it.
Well, after that, Dud, I sure feel like a complete fool doing this. But I guess I have to. Friends, be sure to join us next time when Commander Putney will again reach into his amazing file and bring forth a tale well designed to keep you in anxiety.
Thanks, Paul. You're doing great now that you've got those pieces of tire on.
Well, I get warmed up as we go along.
Right. Now, what would you like to hear next? We've got a good many things here. How about speaking out?
I love that. That's a fine program feature.
It's a fine program feature, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, it's where we encourage the listener to phone in with their opinion on some controversial issue of the day.
Right. Now, I might add that this feature was seriously considered for a national award when we put it on the air a while back.
Actually, Ray, I don't think anyone but you thought it was being seriously considered for a national award.
Well, I know I considered it quite seriously.
Well, I did, too.
And I decided that we're doing a noble thing here, making our vast technical facilities available to any weirdo who wants to spout off about public issues.
Yeah, well, I admit it does sound noble when you put it that way. And now I see that today's first call from one of those weirdos is coming in, so would you give us your name, please? I have the phone here.
Yes, my name is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
You don't look like the same one I've heard about. How tall are you, sir?
I'm 5'1", even though I'm really only 4'11". But if you're planning to make a bunch of short jokes at my expense, I'll just hang up right now.
No, I didn't have anything like that in mind. Why don't you go ahead and give us your opinion on the public issue you selected?
Well, it's my opinion that the job of Prince of Wales should be a civil service position. The way it is now, a guy can spend years studying to be a prince, but then the guards at the palace gate just tell you that the job's filled. They don't expect any openings.
Well, are you saying that you studied to be the Prince of Wales?
Yes, and I must add that I probably could do a better job than the fellow they hired. I can ride in an open carriage and wave to the multitudes without bending my wrist at all.
Well, in spite of that skill, I presume you're unable to find work. Is that right?
Well, yeah. Last time there was an opening, I don't think they even looked at my application. And they certainly didn't invite me to the palace so I could show them how I always picked the right spoon to eat my soup. Instead, they picked some other guy just because the Queen liked them. That's un-American.
Well, I guess the British royal family does quite a few things that are un-American. But thanks for calling in to complain about it. And let's chat with another caller here. Your name, please.
I'm Mrs. Trudy Gorbeck. I'm calling from Muscatine, Iowa.
Ah, really? I've met a number of nice people from out that way, Miss Gorback.
Well, then you've never met my husband, Wendell C. Gorback. He's a conniving little weasel who's probably stepping out with another woman on a regular basis.
You really shouldn't say things like that on the air, ma'am. Why don't you just move along to the opinion about public affairs that you called in to give?
Very well. It's my opinion that my husband, Wendell C. Gorback, is stepping out with another woman on a regular basis.
Well, look, ma'am, I'm afraid you made the same slanderous statement again on national radio. I don't you have an opinion about some other subject? This is very personal.
No, I'm just too obsessed with my husband's shenanigans to think about anything else.
I know.
His name is Wendell C. Gorback.
I heard his name, and I imagine every lawyer in Iowa has made a note of it, too. So let's quickly move along to one last quick call here. Your name, please?
Hi, I'm Norman Heiser. I share a broom closet in a Detroit hotel here with several other household appliances.
All right. Are you a first-time caller, Wendell? Norman, I mean.
Yes, it is. A first-time caller.
All
but
right.
I'm a long-time listener.
Good.
I always wanted to call, but I thought I'd be insulted by you guys.
No, we don't do that sort of thing.
Well,
what's the opinion you want to give
It's my opinion that the makers of my new car were lying when they said it was designed to get 33 miles to the gallon. But that the actual mileage will vary due to climate and driving conditions.
Yeah, well, that does sound like a rather vague statement. With all those loopholes, how could they be lying, though?
Very easily. I discovered that I always get exactly 33 miles to the gallon. Changes in climate don't affect it at all.
How about driving conditions?
No, I checked that out last summer. First, I drove at an even speed across Kansas. And then I deliberately got stuck in bumper-to-bumper traffic in Chicago. Didn't make any difference. I still got 33 miles to the gallon.
Well, then it seems the manufacturer's statement is certainly untrue. So thanks for telling us about it. And we hope to uncover something equally deceptive next time when we'll invite our listeners to take part in another session of Speaking Out. Hi, this is Turnley Gebhardt, your Faces in the News reporter, and we have a gentleman with us today who had his face in the newspaper yesterday. Sir, could we have your name and occupation, please?
Yes, my name is Martin Levon. I'm an optometrist and sole owner of Levon's House of Lenses.
And Levon's House of Lenses isn't what you'd call a large or big business, is that right?
No, it's a very small business. I don't even have the necessary 20 feet to hang an eye chart.
Oh, do you have an eye chart?
Yeah, the people who read my eye chart have to stand out in the street and read it through the door, which I keep open.
Well, do you find this to be a satisfactory method?
Well, it isn't bad. Sometimes a policeman comes along and arrests the person for standing on the sidewalk, mumbling with a hand clapped over one eye, but hey, that's the exception rather than the rule.
And you've been waiting for that day, Mr. Levon, when you can afford to rent more spacious quarters, a place large enough to accommodate an eye chart,
That's
say.
right, yes, sir.
But that's not going to happen for some time because yesterday you were robbed of your life savings. Here's a picture of you in the paper, all tied up in front of your empty safe.
That's me, all right. But the picture in the paper isn't the way it happened at all. Actually, I was out having lunch across the street at the time.
You say the pictorialization of the event is inaccurate, Mr. Levon?
Sure. After I got back from lunch and found that I'd been robbed, I called the police. Well, pretty soon they came, and so did a gang of newspaper photographers.
And the photographer snapped your picture.
Well, not until they tied me up with a lot of rope and had me lie in front of the empty safe.
Well, pictures like that are always good for newspaper circulation, Mr. Levon. That's the newspaper game. I don't think anybody was hurt by it.
Well, I was. The photographers left without bothering to undo the ropes.
And with the door to your shop open, I imagine you attracted a lot of attention lying there in front of your safe all bound up.
Well, it started with the neighborhood kids. They came in and severed the strings on my depth perception machine.
Of course, you couldn't kick them out or anything like that, what with being tied up and all.
Well, that's right. And then a little while after that, a very regal-looking gentleman comes into the shop and made off with a pair of, pince-nez frames I've been working on. The pince was a little loose.
You'd think that passers-by would be more sympathetic, wouldn't
You'd
you?
think so, wouldn't you? Anyway, before I got loose, my shop had been really sacked by people.
Incidentally, how did you get loose, Mr. Levon?
Well, one of the looters dropped an eyeglass frame on the floor, and I kept rubbing the ropes against it. Took a long time. Those eyeglass frames slide, you know.
I certainly do know, Mr. Levon, and thank you for providing grist for the mill here on Faces in the News. Now, let's return again to Garish Summit and its endless story of intrigue among the socially prominent. There, in stately splendor far removed from the squalid village below, they fight their petty battles over power and money. As our action begins, wealthy Dowager Agatha Murchfield is nervously flipping through the pages of a rare first edition in the solarium. She appears relieved when family attorney Bowden Pardue enters.
Oh, do come in, Bowden. I'm relieved that you're here. I hope my urgent call didn't take you away from something more important.
No, not at this hour, Agatha. I was merely sleeping. It's 2 o'clock in the morning, you know.
Do tell, I had no idea. My watch is down at the jeweler, and I always have him reset it for daylight time.
Well, couldn't you avoid that inconvenience by just moving it up an hour yourself?
Oh, I suppose I could get the hang of it, but since we have tradespeople to do those things, I prefer not to dirty my hands.
Well, I guess it's one of the advantages of being extremely wealthy, eh?
It's interesting you should mention that. Actually, I'm afraid I may soon be pitching camp at the poorhouse. We're going through rough times at the Murchfield Lead Company.
Well, I am aware that the worldwide lead market is in a slump, Agatha, but I'm sure a woman like yourself with $5 billion in the bank can weather the storm.
Well, I'm just not sure. I'd really like to economize before my bank balance starts to drop. That's why I called you here, Bowden. How much of a cut are you willing to take in the retainer I pay you?
Well, I'd prefer not to see that figure reduced at all, Agatha.
And I suppose calling you here at 2 a.m. has made you even more stubborn on that point?
I think it may be a factor, yes.
Well, then I guess I'll just have to cut my household budget, starting with the servant salaries.
Well, you hardly pay them enough to live on now, Agatha.
Well, I think it's quite adequate. Besides, they've been with me for years, and they worship the very ground I walk on. So I'm sure they'll sacrifice willingly once I've explained the situation.
No offense intended, Mum. But now that you've explained the situation, how can I only say that I'll be packing to leave as soon as the sun comes up?
Well, I hesitated to wake you in the middle of the night to tell you the bad news, Wilford, but I had no idea that depriving you of a little sleep would make you this grouchy.
No offense intended, Mum, but it's not the sleep so much as your plan to reduce my wage. A $280 a month cut is substantial for a person who's only making $300.
Well, you'll still get your meals free, and I don't plan to rent the vacant half of your room to an outsider, unless things get worse.
No offense intended, Mum, but my room doesn't have a vacant half. It's only a small cell in the attic, barely wide enough for the folding cot you sold me. If I may say so, Mum, this whole thing hardly seems cricket for a woman who has $5 billion in the bank.
How in the world would you know the size of my bank account, Wilfred?
Oh, it's common knowledge, Mum. Your ne'er-do-well son, Caldwell, keeps a chart of all your holdings posted on the wall of his room. He finds it useful in making his plans to wipe you out financially.
Hey, just take a look at this chart before you get excited, Lefty. My old lady's got billions, so I figure my market is good for a small $500,000 gambling debt.
It ain't my decision, Murchfield. I get my orders from higher up, and Mr. Biggs afraid the old lady's bankroll may run out before the lead market gets back on its feet.
Nonsense. She's got enough to last for years. Just let me write a note to your boss explaining my solid financial position. Does Mr. Biggs spell his name with one G or two?
Don't waste time writing letters, pal. You've got 24 hours to raise the $500,000, or I got orders to blow you away.
Well, there's no need for alarm. I'll ask Mother for the $500,000 just as soon as she's finished telling the butler about his salary cut.
You better hope she comes across, buddy. Otherwise, it's curtains.
Can Caldwell make Agatha reach for her purse before Lefty reaches for his machine gun? Can Wilfred learn to find happiness on $20 a month? And what about the Middle Eastern potentate who's manipulating the lead market just to get Agatha upset? Perhaps we'll learn more next time when we hear the village jeweler say,
I've finished setting your watch, Miss Agatha, but why have you come to call for it in the middle of the night?
That's in the next exciting episode, when we again return to Garish Summit.
Well, now the big moment is at hand for all you listeners who hope to win a fortune in prizes by identifying our Bob and Ray mystery tune. We're going to play a segment of a well-known popular song, and the first person to call in with its correct title will qualify for our giant jackpot.
And quite a jackpot it is, too. We failed to come up with a winner the last time we played our mystery tune, so that means the big prize has now grown to $18 in cash.
But the money you can win is only part of it, friends. We also have some wonderful merchandise gifts donated by business people around the country. We're giving away a coupon good for the breakfast special at Rudy's House of Dry Toast in Moline, Illinois. Also, a free pants cuffing job at the Delight Cleaners in Knoxville, Tennessee. And last but far from least, 2 hours of skating lessons at the Funfest Rollerdrome in Providence, Rhode Island.
And that's a whopping $30 worth of merchandise prizes that will be treasured by any of you who plan to travel soon to Moline, Knoxville, and Providence.
Or if you're fortunate enough to already be in one of those cities, so much the better. So listen now to a portion of our mystery tune and be the first to call in when you're sure you can identify it. Paul?
Okay, there it is. And our phone is still silent. So that means our giant jackpot will rise next week.
Wait a minute, Ray. I think we should give our listeners a little bit longer than that to get through to us with their calls.
I don't see why. I could have named it right off the bat. So if people out there can't collect their wits and call in, it's not our fault.
Oh, well, apparently somebody's wits have been collected because we have a call, so let's see if it's a winner. Hello?
Hello? I'm sorry I took so long to call your special mystery tune number, but you didn't mention what it was over the air, so I accidentally called several other people first.
Well, there's no need to apologize, sir. Just give us your answer.
What?
I said give us your answer.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. I'm calling from the boiler factory where I work. The machinery makes an awful racket here.
Well, can't you turn it off until you finish the call?
No, look, I got another idea. I'll just turn off the machinery until we finish this call.
That's a good idea.
There. Can you hear me better now?
Well, I could hear you before, sir. You couldn't hear me. That was the only problem.
What?
I said I could hear you all right, but
you... Listen, you have to speak up. They make us wear earplugs on the job so the noise won't damage our hearing, and earplugs sure make it tough to carry on a phone conversation.
Well, why don't you take them out so we can talk?
What?
Sir, I hate to say this, but we're on the air, and your problem is wasting too much time, so thanks
Wait a
anyway.
minute. I had to put down the phone to take out my earplug, so I didn't hear what you said last. What was that again?
Well, it may not have been important. Can you hear me now?
Certainly. What can I do for you?
Well, can you give us the title of our Bob and Ray mystery tune? That's what you called about, isn't it?
Yes, I thought you'd never asked.
Okay.
The title of that tune is The Star-Spangled Banner.
No, I'm sorry, sir. In fact, I don't know why you made a guess like that. It didn't sound anything like the Star-Spangled Banner.
Well, I don't know what it sounded like. It's impossible to hear radio in a boiler factory, but I saw some guys through the glass partition standing at attention, so I figured you were playing the Star-Spangled Banner.
No, they were probably standing up for some other reason.
Yeah, maybe it was the start of a fire drill.
Could
I
be.
see they've all run out of the building now, but
Yeah.
I didn't hear the alarm.
Well, I'm sure you didn't, but thanks for calling. And due to your failure, our giant jackpot will grow to $21 next week when we again search for a winner in our Bob and Ray Mystery Tune Contest.
No, I think I'll run up to Washington Heights. That's where I live.
Hey, suit yourself. We've got to go anyway. The program today was, as usual, developed and produced by Larry Josephson for the Radio Foundation with the help of associate producer Lars Hoel.
Paul Taubman provided the music, Al Schaefer the sound effects, and the technical director was David Glasser.
Our engineers are Howard Schwartz and David Glasser, assisted by Marty Newman and Miles Smith.
And production assistants Bill O'Neill and Charles Whitson.
And a bulletin just handed me says that funding for yet another Bob and Ray program has just been arranged, so we will be here next time.
Thanks in part to funding from the National Endowment for the Arts and the Corporation for Public Broadcasting through NPR's Satellite Program Development Fund. And now this is Ray Goulding, reminding you to write if you get work.
Bob Elliott reminding you to hang by your thumbs.
Additional funding from public radio stations. For a free picture of Bob and Ray, send a stamped self-addressed envelope to Bob and Ray Picture, Box 5000 GPO, New York 10116. Again, send a stamped self-addressed envelope to Bob and Ray Picture, Box 5000 GPO, New York 10116. We regret that we cannot send a picture without a stamped self-addressed envelope. This program was independently produced by the Radio Foundation.